less traveled road of car importers to deliver your dream car. A story by Mpaata Company Limited. Buying a car in Uganda is a costly undertaking, especially given the fact that Uganda doesn't manufacture cars yet. So we are tied down to importing. But as a car owner, have you ever wondered how your car got to you? Where did it pass? Who brought it to you? In this story, we take a less traveled journey of a Ugandan car importer known as Mpaata Nelson, the proprietor of Mpaata Company Limited, 6 years in operation, to answer your curiosity of how your car gets to you in one piece. We start our journey by heading to the Malaba border from Kampala. It's a 4 to 5 hour journey depending on two things. One, how you drive, and two, the amount of traffic on the road, mostly full of trailers taking goods from Kenya to Kampala and beyond. At the Malaba border, we are scheduled to meet Womakuyu Rogers, a skilled long-distance driver who will drive the fresh unit, a Mini Cooper S from Mombasa to Kampala. For the uninitiated, in the importation language, the car that you drive before it's handed over to you is called a unit. In this video, we use car or unit interchangeably, hoping you don't get confused. Here's what Rogers has to say about his job.
Amanya gange Womakuyu Rogers, nkolanga transport manager, ndilivalinga moka kuva Mombasa paka Kampala. Banga mazemu ntandika 2013. Paka kati mazemu emyaka ngenda kuweza myaka 10. Mulimo guno natandika nga mvuga kamotoka kamukamu paka Mpaata Limited yandabira. Nampa moka kananfula transport manager we. Okuvuge moko kujije Mombasa paka Kampala. Ekisoko otandikira wano n'ogenda ero nagenda na basi. Saa zino ze mutusemu ziri sawa mwenda. Wano basi ziba zamaze dogenda basi zisimbula wano sawa musanvu. Kati sawa mwenda guno tonna osobola sanga basi. Kati wano osobolera okunoonya lwakuba lazima on'okugenda osobola okunoonyeza gundi. Motoka lole yonna moka yonna enasobola okutwaliriza ogende ojeyo motoka. Bakuba obo na suppose lero okugenda otuukeyo. Lole eno oba ogifunye wabanga wakisanya kujja ko nusulu 15 olwa Kenya. Wabanga abadde agamba waliwo abamu abagamba nti sigenda kwebaka akujja ko nusulu 12 eza Kenya. Ebizibu ebiri mu mulimo guno ekizibu kya gundi mukubo mubeeramu ababbi era moka onakutobolinganya okulabika nti osobola kusitula muntu okuteeka moka tomanyi gositula oyinza oba ositula mubbi. Ekyokubiri bano abavuga ekiro tulo moka ez'abantu okuzisuula eba tulo tebabeera na budde wakugamba nti nkola ki ndiku tulo tunkuteeka nebake akaza n'atuuke ku boda ate ne ku boda wona atuukayo saa zona atuukirayo tebagenda kukiryalinga kiro era olina kwebakawo enkeera yayo kasitoma balyoke bakole ki bagulo bakukiryalinge.
Here's a traveler's tip. If for whatever reason you have to cross from Uganda to Kenya while driving, crossing that border with that car is going to cost you, and the charges are in US dollars. We had to pay through an insurance company for a specific number of days. Different durations of stay cost differently. After clearing with the Ugandan and Kenyan immigration at the border, we enter Kenya, and the first hiccup was telephone network. Our phone stopped working. Rogers explained it to us.
Okukola business mu nsi zino ebbiri amateeka gakyukakyuka era kati weriri wano lyakyuse lwakuba gavumenti eriko mpya era we tuli wano kirabibwa nti ngenda kugula simu card empya lwakuba eno egendina nkadde wenganda nayo nengenda nayo nenkadde eno egenda kutuuka eri ekole ki ejja kubanga sisobola kukuba Uganda mu office mbabulire nti ntuuse nabo bategeere nti natuuseeyo.
We had to get new SIM cards. We then continue until we reach Eldoret at about 9 p.m., where we decided to have dinner. At that time, the only available and safe option is chicken. We do some last-minute shopping and hit the road again. The reason for traveling in the night is to beat traffic. And as you can see, this is also a mode of operation for trailers. They are always on the move, even at night. Time check, 1:30 a.m.-ish, we get to the Eastern Bypass. Well lit, we like that about it. We hit Mombasa Road without a stop, making one stop to refuel, ease ourselves and continue. The sunrise of the following daybreak found us in Tsavo East National Park. That is 400 kilometers from Nairobi and 330 kilometers remaining to reach Mombasa port. Mombasa Road is quite eventful. The traffic police are busy, there's a number of road accidents because of the speed. We hustle on, yes, that's us, hoping to reach our destination and have breakfast. We reach Mombasa at 9:30 in the morning, checked into Pride Inn Hotel, ready to freshen up. The cost of the rooms is not as affordable as the ones in Uganda, but we have no choice. We wanted to stay near the port for obvious reasons. Day 3. We drive to Mombasa port to meet our connect. Filming at the port is not allowed for security reasons. Thanks to Mr. Mpaata Nelson's proactiveness though, we have all that is required to film at this port. We are cleared in and greeted by a humongous ship known as Mercury Ace, a cargo vessel designed to carry cars, and it is in the process of offloading. Upon introduction, we find out that Mercury Ace is not here for long because the more time she spends docked at the port, the more money she has to pay. We meet Hamid from Mercantile Cargo Terminal Operations Limited, the man in charge of receiving the fresh units being offloaded before they head over to the designated CFS. A CFS is a container freight station, also known as bond or warehouse. A CFS is always nominated by the customer themselves or the agent buying the unit on behalf of the customer. Hamid tells us about his work in regards to what we came to find out.
My name is Hamid Abdul Somad. I'm from Mercantile Cargo Terminal Limited. Mercantile Cargo Terminal Limited is a stevedoring company offering port services for many shipping lines. We do car carrier business, also container terminal business. All these ports, they have their challenges while coming back down to Mombasa. i.e. Dubai to Mombasa is around 7 days sailing. And India to Mombasa, it's roughly also like 21 days. But we have other factors of the weather when coming down from either the port of loading to Mombasa. That is one of the biggest challenges to make these ships delay to arrive on time. Another aspect is the congestion at the port. Sometimes, like today, we are very lucky to have this empty berth. This Glowfish contest, we were expecting it today, but she has delayed in Dar es Salaam. She has not secured berth up to now, of which, as per ship schedule, she was supposed to arrive today in Mombasa, and by now will be working. But unfortunately, the congestion in Dar es Salaam has costed the ETA in Mombasa.
After a 40 to 60 minute ordeal, Mercury Ace closes up, ready to leave to its next destination, and it's time for us to head back to our not-so-cheap hotel. It's time to pay a visit to where the unit is stored, but before that, we have to meet Kenneth, our Mpaata nail clearing agent at Mombasa Port, to take us through what needs to be done to clear a unit.
Good morning. How are you? My name is Kenneth. I do clearing and forwarding for Mpaata nail company from Port of Mombasa. And this is where we start from. This is where the process begins. We receive documents from Japan. They come here, we receive them. Then we start processing. The first step here is either you collect the manifests or you get delivery orders from here. Manifests, as you can see here, there are very many for certain cars. Once the vessel arrives, it contains many units. So for us to be able to capture those units, we must get a manifest from the shipping line. This is the shipping line where we are right now. So we get these manifests. They have details for the car, the chassis, the engine number, year of manufacture. So this manifest, once you feed it into the system, the SCUDA system, you should be able to get all the details, the car, the year of manufacture. This is what it entails. So as you can see here, I'm going to take a picture. I sent to the team in Kampala so that they can be able to select the manifests they need. Just start. some editing before I send them. I have to make sure they are visible enough. So we are done. I've forwarded to the group so they'll be able to get details, pick one manifest and match with the document that they have, then they can be able to proceed. But we also have challenges here, which they are oppressing, but sometimes we get to manage. Some of those challenges is manifests sometimes delay. And another challenge is, as I've mentioned, work is always much, so you don't expect to get everything on time. Sometimes you have to be patient. Another important document that we collect from this documentation center is the logbook, known as the export certificate. This is a document that once the client makes payment to Japan for a certain unit, the previous user submits the documents for the unit. Then in exchange, they are given that export certificate. So that export certificate, without it, the client in Uganda or the end user won't be able to register that.
After Kenneth's short process, because the office isn't so busy on Saturdays, we can now head to the CFS, or container freight station, to get an understanding of how a unit is cleared to hit the road. Anthony, in charge of front office operations at this CFS, briefly takes us through.
I'm Anton Mwanza Joel, here in regional logistics, in charge of front office operations and the billing as well as the payment for the units here in regional logistics. Now, in the container freight station CFS, we have a head of KRA who is in charge of all the operations which happens here in the station, where by the terms used by the Kenya Revenue Authority is the head of verification officer, HVO. Now we have another office where we have the customs office, as it is indicated, which is also under KRA, which is Kenya Revenue Authority, which deals with the operations and what happens on the ground. They are in charge of verifying whatever you've declared through the ASCUDA system, that is URA, under URA, what you've declared, then they facilitate in engaging with the URA officers in Uganda.
My names are James Rono, the Yard Operations Supervisor for Regional CFS. Before we receive the cargo here, we counter-check all the documents against the physical cargo expected. For instance, if it's this unit, you'll check with the chassis number, which is always here. You can see like this one now has gone all through all the processes, and now it is getting out, it's moving out. The process of moving out the cargo from the CFS is called get out. Yeah, so this is a get out that's been allowed. In the process of getting out, this is now a point where we require all the people here, all the required agencies, one, the clearing agent, our own staff, delivery clerk, and the security guys to counter-check if this unit is as per the gate pass.
The case of missing car parts. One of the reasons we have made this trip is to understand a few things. And one of them is why a car can sometimes get to you with missing parts. For example, car radios, wheel spanners, spare tires, and the like. Between the vessel that brings in the unit, the CFS and Mpaata Company Limited, where do car parts get lost?
Well, actually, it's very sad. The amount of time for us to handle that unit from the vessel to the quayside, it's hardly 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, we cannot do anything. Our main priority is to start the vehicle, make sure the vehicle is in good condition. We take it from the vessel to the quayside, whereby all the verification is being done. We hardly do anything on board. Our main priority is to make sure that the vehicle is in good appearance. They have got a scapegoat to say that everything is being done at the vessel. That is a very wrong outlook, because we hardly have 5 minutes to drive a car from the vessel to the quayside. As a car importer, they should rely on liaising with the shipping lines regarding the condition of the car. Because once we hand over the unit to the respective company, their yards are like almost 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers from the port. Anything can happen during the transfer from the port to the yard, i.e. maybe accident or some preferages can happen also. So they should also hire honest clearing and forwarding people. The port security right now, it's at high level. We have got CCTV everywhere. So you cannot expect me to remove 4 wheels and I just take them out of the port like that. The port of Mombasa has improved regarding security.
These people who are loading may have interest in a certain part, so it may get lost from there. But usually they happen around Mombasa, like that point of delivery from the port or from the vessel to the surface. That's where issues come out. In this scenario, someone might remove the jack, they might remove the spanner, spare tire, radio. Yeah, but we always have these things when we are buying these cars. We know how we are buying our cars. We know which kind of extra this car is coming with. So as soon as our agent in Mombasa confirms that there is a missing part, immediately he raises an alarm. In this scenario, he raises an alarm to the surface. Now, the surface, always they have a tally sheet, how they receive the car. So they compare. Now, once still they are not like connecting, for them they raise it to the Kenya Ports Authority. So there is always that report which is issued by Kenya Ports Authority. Now, that one always has how this car has landed from the vessel to the port. So in a situation where they are missing, let's say it is missing from the Kenya Ports Authority chart or log or anything like that. Now in this scenario, it is the issue of the vessel and the shipper. Immediately, the shipper is notified and a procedure begins from there.
As soon as Mpaata clearing agent realizes that there is a missing part in the imported car or unit, he alerts the CFS. The CFS will refer to the KPA verification report. For example, if the report says the car was imported with 2 keys but only 1 key is presented, then that is followed up to the driver who drove the car from the port to the CFS. If the driver says he got 1 key, then the shipper, who in this case is B Forward, is questioned. In general, traceability systems have been set up to deal with such scenarios to ensure a safe business. The unit we came for. Finally, our Mini Cooper S is cleared, ready to hit the road to Kampala. There are so many bad things that can happen to that Mini Cooper before it reaches Kampala. One of them is getting involved in an accident.
As in Mpaata, we have qualified, experienced drivers. For example, Rogers, he's been working with us for some time. He's good at what he does. And to ensure quality delivery, we make sure that this driver is paid in time, is also paid a reasonable amount. By doing that, we are trying to minimize on the turnover. You know, these accidents always happen when someone wants to make more rounds. Brings the car to Kampala, immediately goes back, gets another one, comes back, something like that. In this scenario, our driver is only allowed to carry only 2 cars to Kampala in a week, while others can even carry 4. For us, only 2. We know that, let's say, if he goes on Monday, by Wednesday he's bringing, he goes back. By Saturday he's bringing another one. So that's how we ensure quality. So to avoid them getting exhausted, we don't overwork them. We give them a limited number of cars.
Point of information. For a unit or car going from Mombasa to Kampala, it is fitted with a tracker. We couldn't be allowed to see where they place it, but that tracker is used to make sure that the unit exits Kenya. At Malaba border, the tracker is removed as that is now beyond Kenya Ports Authority jurisdiction. At the Malaba border, our unit is not paying any taxes because the end user is not ready to drive it yet. That means Rogers is going to continue driving it to Kampala straight into a bond. We understand that Uganda Revenue Authority has rules and regulations on which cars pay tax at border entry and which ones can pay later.
There is that 15-year-old ban. It was implemented by URA in 2018, but as time goes, it is always revised. In this scenario, recently they revised it to have 2 years. That is 20, like a 15-year-old car and a 14-year-old car to have taxes paid in Mombasa. Then the 13-year-old car upwards, they are allowed to come to the bond. Why it is done? If it is a 15-year-old, it will become more than 15 years in the bond. Like if you warehouse a 15-year-old car, it will. I don't want to say grow, but it will become older in the bond, like more than 15 years. If you warehouse it, let's say you are warehousing, let's say right now in 2007, for 6 months, it will become more than, and yet the law is you are not supposed to register a car that is more than 15 years old in the bond. That's why there is that we pay taxes from that side to cover away that. Now, right now, cars that are only 13 years old and below are the only cars that are allowed to be warehoused. Those that are more than up to 15 years are only allowed to pay registration fees at the point of entry.
After 2 days of travel, Rogers arrives at Kadam, a renowned car bond in Kampala. Here, it is in its glory waiting for the owner to clear the required taxes and take his or her baby home. Up next, the tax clearance process. We head off to Mpaata office to see if they have any units to clear for the day. Here, we meet Resty to take us through what we found to be a not straightforward process that we had to condense for you. To clear the unit, we need to have the end user's URA portal access. Since they are the owners of the car, it's good practice to clear it straight into their names. We also require the original export certificate and an inspection certificate from UNBS for roadworthiness. If you remember well, the export certificate Kenneth showed us comes with the unit straight from Japan. It acts as its car logbook in the entire transit process. Without it, our car cannot go anywhere. The UNBS inspection certificate for that particular unit is handed over at the port of origin after the car is inspected by a Uganda National Bureau of Standards official. This is to make sure that the cars coming into Uganda are not too old to damage the environment, or you aren't simply importing scrap. The last piece of information required is the bill of lading, a legal document issued by the shipping company to a shipper that details the type, quantity, and destination of the goods being carried. A bill of lading also serves as a shipment receipt when the carrier delivers the goods at a predetermined destination. Resty feeds all this information into a URA system called ASICUDA, i.e. Automated System for Customs Data. There's a lot of back and forth between URA's ASICUDA end and Mpaata clearing end to make sure everything is in order. A slight mistake from Resty can be fatal.
For example, you're capturing information to a car and you make an error on the year. Like it's a 2010 and you put a 2009, URA won't understand that. It will think you're trying to cheat taxes, given each year has its own customs value, like each year has its own taxes given. To us, that's a very big repercussion to the company. because you can't explain that to the client and it comes with a fine or a seizure.
It is important to note that the Asikuda system is designed to change color codes as the car goes into different clearing stages, moving from red to yellow and lastly to green, where a number plate is automatically generated for the clearing agent and is sent to the end user's tin, indicating where the plates will be picked from, either from GM Tampeco or Arnold and Brooklyn, the only authorized registration plates manufacturers in Uganda. The Mpaata agent will proceed to pick the registration plates physically at the URA Nakawa office after paying for them in the bank. At that point, the process is closed. The car automatically gets a logbook sent from URA that the clearing agent prints out, carries with the tax payment receipts and registration plates to the bond officer to finally release the car to the end user, who, by the way, always wants their car as soon as yesterday. Whatever it is Mr. Mpaata and his crew have to do or go through, they are here to buy, transport, clear, and deliver your dream ride safely. To them, this is a way of life, to grow your trust when it comes to buying a car.